Last year at this time, I was living in a great deal of depression, anxiety, guilt, shame, sin. It was nothing new to me. I'd lived most of my adult life this way. And I was someone who always had to have control and always had a plan. And whenever those plans wouldn't fall through, I wouldn't know how to cope. And I'd be left with a feeling of emptiness, sadness, and I would look for ways to fill that emptiness. And unfortunately, when I was younger, it was excessive drinking, some drug use, sex, toxic relationships. I knew I was making these poor decisions, and I was doing everything in my power to try to correct them. I read books. I saw a behavioral therapist. I took medication, Zoloft specifically. And towards the end of 2019, I had some things both personally and professionally that didn't go my way. And I was left feeling with that same feeling of emptiness. And this time I decided to go a different way. I prayed, and immediately after I prayed, the next morning, a friend had shared a Valley service on Facebook, and I listened in. The next week, I listened in again. And then over the course of those couple of weeks, no matter where I was seeing the Valley yard signs. And I knew, through my prayer of direction from God, that He was telling me, hey, you need to go to the Valley. So I did, finally, that third week. And as I'm sitting in the sermon listening, it was about living a godless life, a life full of sin, and how you're going to feel God's wrath for that, and how God is wanting you to seek Him. And if you do, He will show Himself to you. And that's what I was feeling in that sermon was, I asked and I received. And I went to service again the following week, and afterwards I introduced myself to Pastor Andy, and I asked him about getting into a life group. And he recommended me to the Journey Bible Study. And after agreeing to that, he set me up with Bill Roth to lead me in that 8-week study. And, ever since I finished the Bible study and really started living for God, my life has completely transformed. I'm in a position now where I'm closer to my son. I'm working in my dream job, and I'm ultimately, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm at peace, I'm confident that I'm exactly where I need to be. With 2020 being as crazy as it's actually been my best year, because it's been full of blessings from God. And I couldn't be more thankful to Him for sending Jesus to rescue me.